Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Pennsylvania AFERD's very first historical night. This is our very first webinar as we move into the world of online education and online professional development. We're very happy you could join us this evening. Just a couple of housekeeping matters before we get started with our presentation and we turn the program over to Dr. Joanne Leight. My name is Todd Bedard. I'm the webmaster and technical advisor for Pennsylvania AFERD. Hope to see you all at convention. I'm sure I know many of you, and we're looking forward to a great evening. If any of you do have issues or know of any of your friends who are having issues connecting, if they text you or something, just have them email me at the reply to the email that I just sent out, and I will get it and try to work on some things on the back end if anyone's having any login issues. A couple of other housekeeping things. If you do have a question throughout the presentation, you'll notice in the upper right-hand corner is a question and answer feature up there. Feel free to type in your questions and we will get to them when we can. The chat room should be used for discussion, simple feedback. If you like something you're hearing or you reinforce something you're hearing, feel free to use it for that. If there's some technical issues on your end that I can help with, feel free to type them in there and I will be glad to look into those. I will come back on at the end and tell you about our survey. We are going to send an email out asking you to complete a survey that rating tonight's experience from the technology side of things all the way down to Dr. Light's presentation as well. And that feedback will be shared with her so that we can improve this and keep a nice high professional standard when doing these. Also, we'd like to announce that coming soon, starting in November 14th, Physika and Pennsylvania AFERD have partnered together to do a webinar series. We will be doing 4 throughout the school year. I'll announce the first 2. The first 2 is the active learning and physical literacy, which is a concept kind of associating physical education with the Common Core. And Martha Harris will be the presenter there, as well as Michael Cordier from Physika. January 15th is a fabulous opportunity. We have Paul Zintarski. If any of you have read Dr. John Rady's book, Spark, the exercise science book, Zintarski was the head of phys ed out at Naperville High School in Illinois and was part of Dr. Rady's study. So he's going to be talking about learning readiness PE, and that'll be January 5th. Pricing will be posted on Pennsylvania AFERD's website. Member price is $25 per webinar, $80 for the series. Non-members will be $35 per webinar and $125 for the series. Also, if any of you have a topic that you would like to present on a webinar in the future, I have posted a webinar proposal form on Pennsylvania AFERD's website. It's under events and it's webinar proposal form. So feel free to fill one of those out, send it in. The committee and I will take a look at it and get in touch with you and let you know if we can be of service and help you with that. And then before we do turn things over to Dr. Joanne Leight, just 2 more announcements. The convention from November 29th to December 1st is up online. Hope to see you all there. We'd love to see you back in Seven Springs out in Champion, Pennsylvania, so hope to see you all there. And a special shout out if she's online with us. I haven't taken a look yet, but Melanie Bowser, our very first webinar registration. So special shout out to Melanie Bowser. If any of you know her, feel free to hit her up in the chat and congratulate her being our very first webinar registration for our series. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you Dr. Joanne Leight. She's an associate professor of physical education at Slippery Rock University and an expert in the fields of instructional technology. So I will turn things over to her. And Joanne, it's all yours.
Okay, great. Thanks, Todd. I guess the first question is, can everyone hear me? If you can somebody just type in the chat area. Okay, good. Betty Ann gave me a hands up. Wonderful. Okay, this is Google Apps for Physical Education. So I'll be talking to you about a number of different Google applications this evening. I first became interested in Google Apps a number of years ago and just kind of took off from there. As I started to explore it a little bit more fully, I realized that there is so much potential in our field, in other fields. You can use Google Apps to organize your life, to collaborate with others, to use it for your students, for work in the classroom. So there are a ton of different things you can do with Google Apps. It's not just a search engine any longer, but that is how we all know it originally. Google has become part of our vocabulary. If we don't know something, we just Google it, or we tell someone else to Google it. But it actually has a whole lot more than just being a search engine. The first question that I have for you, and if you registered before Monday, I sent you a survey, and my apologies if you got it twice, but the first question was, do you have a Google account? And if you look at the pie chart, since I posted this PowerPoint, the results are actually 26 yes and 7 no. So the 7 of you who don't have a Google account, I hope by the end of this evening you decide perhaps you would like to have one. That's the first question. I kind of wanted to know where we were with the group, see if I was preaching to the choir or if I had a lot of newbies. But that's the first question. The second question you may know the answer to. Which of the following is not a Google application? And since there could be quite a few of you online, we decided to set up a poll. So if Todd can activate that, the four options are Scholar, Gmail, Picasa, or Flickr. Which of the following is not a Google application? And you can start to record your answer in the poll that just showed up. It's real time, so as people respond, can you see the poll? You can't see the poll. Okay. All right. Not sure what's happening, but most of you said number 4, and that's the correct answer. Flickr is a photo sharing site, as is Picasa, but Picasa is the Google product, Flickr is not. Let's see if this poll will show up. Which of the following Google applications is a web browser? Can you now see the last poll? Okay, good. You can see it now. You see the last poll now. Okay. You all know the answer to that one. For question 3, there you go. Can you answer this question? Which of the following Google applications is a web browser? Is it Chrome, Sites, Reader, or Blogger? There we go. Now it's registering. And it's unanimous. When I talked about Google Apps a year or two ago, Chrome was not so popular, but now most of you seem to be pretty familiar with Chrome. And that's the correct answer. I'm going to talk about, just for a minute, the Google Apps for Education. That was a question on the survey. How many of you are a Google Apps for Education school? And 17 of you are not, but 14 of you said yes. So I was surprised that so many school districts have adopted it, but I'm not really surprised when I think about all it can do. A Google App for Education school is one that decided not to go with Microsoft and decided to go with Google because it's cheaper. And what's really great is that obviously with any of these Google products, because it's in the cloud, you have access to all your information no matter where you are as long as you have internet access. So a lot of schools are switching to Google as their main application program. And these are 5 of the tools included in your Google Apps for Education. Now I do know each district may individualize it and may add to these 5. It actually used to be 7, but then they went down to these 5. So each district who decide to sign up will have access to Gmail for all of their students and faculty, Calendar, Talk, Docs, and Sites. And I'm actually going to talk about each one of those this evening. But if you are a Google Apps for Education school, you may have some variation of these 5. You may have more or less. But don't be surprised if your district decides to consider it because it's free. And of course, Microsoft is fairly expensive when you start to add it up. So this is the last question, last poll. So we'll see how you do. Which state was the first to adopt Google Apps for Education for all 197 districts? Was it Texas? Was it Oregon? Was it Maine? Or was it Pennsylvania? The first to adopt Google Apps for Education for all districts. Ooh, it's neck and neck. The correct answer is, Todd, can you move the poll so I can advance the slide? Just slide it down. There you go. Thank you. The correct answer is Oregon. A few of you, 4 of you, 5 of you, you're all going to answer it correctly now. Okay, Google Apps. If you go to the Google web page, and I'll show you where you can click on a tab, that'll take you to this screen. Of course, it's really small. If you notice in your window right now, right above this application or right above the slide, it should say full screen. So if you want to see this in full screen, you won't see the chat, you won't see the bar on the right, but you'll be able to see this a little bit clearer. This screen will show up, and you don't have to count them. You can take my word for it, but there are actually 45 Google applications that are available. That number changes a little bit because sometimes they decide to eliminate some apps, and of course they're always adding more. So that's an overview. I have slides with these apps a little bit clearer. The apps are divided into 8 categories. First we have the web apps and the mobile apps. Anything that's in a different color here are the ones I'll be focusing on. I'm actually going to talk about 20 of the 45 apps in the next hour or 45 minutes. So the web, of course, is the web search, iGoogle, Bookmarks, Chrome, and Toolbar. And then on the mobile side, I won't talk about it, but if you happen to have an Android device, they are owned by Google. So you have a lot of Google products already on your phone. Apple and Google are kind of fighting, so that's why the Google Maps is now off of the iPhone. If you move on, you have media, and I'll talk about YouTube, books, news, and Picasa, and then Google Play is fairly new. Image search and video search are also included in media. Under Geo, I won't be talking about any of these, although I know a lot of people use maps. If you geocache or if you do orienteering, Google Earth is also a great app as well, and you can see the others there. Those I'm not actually going to be touching upon this evening. Home and Office has a lot of great apps that we can use in any discipline. I'll talk about Google Docs, Calendar, Talk, Voice, Gmail, Sites, and you can see the ones on the social side. Google Plus is their version of Facebook, but you can put people in groups and circles, and you can hang out. You can have chats with more than one person. I won't be talking much about it, but I think you know it's available. The two that I will talk about in the social side would be Blogger and Reader. And finally, the specialized search. I'm only going to talk about Google Alerts and Google Scholar, which I think are really great. I won't be talking about any of those others that are included. So these are the 20 that I will touch upon this evening. If I go too fast, let me know. I know we have all different levels here, people that are real comfortable with Google and others that don't even have an account, so this will be all new. Again, if you have questions, post them. I'll try to answer them as we go, and I'll leave some time at the end as well. So, this is the graph of your results as of Monday night from the survey that I gave to you, or that I sent to you. And I found it very interesting. I'll show you the updated results when we go into Google Docs. But Gmail seemed to be used the most out of all the Google products, and then YouTube closely followed that. A lot of people don't know that YouTube is actually a Google product, but they did buy it a few years ago. The ones that were used the least amount were Google Books and Google Alerts and Reader and Blogger, but that kind of highlights what most people are using. They're using Docs, they're using Calendar, and then on down from there. So now what we're going to do, the first part of this presentation, I will show you each of the applications with a screenshot and explain what it does, and then after I go through all the screenshots, the second part, I will actually go out live and navigate and kind of show you how to set things up and how it works live. It's too confusing to try to toggle back and forth from PowerPoint and the internet. So we'll see how this works. iGoogle is your own personal homepage. I really like iGoogle. I debated whether I should include it because if you get too attached to it, they are taking it away in November of 2013. So you have a year to play with it. But you can add all your own widgets, your own information. It's no secret if you know me, I'm a Phillies fan. Grew up in the eastern side of the state, even though I live on the western side of the state. So a lot of the stuff that I use somehow the Phillies seem to make its way. So that's my own personal iGoogle page, and this is now my search engine as well. Right above Go Phillies is my search bar. Google Alerts is something that I just absolutely love, and not many of you are using it according to the survey. But what you can do is you can get email updates of any topics that you choose. And it's hard to see, but I have Google Alerts for everything from iPad apps to my hometown to Slippery Rock University. And I can get emails whenever those phrases appear in a website, in a blog, in a video, in a newspaper article. And I can choose to have them arrive once a day or as it happens. I have my name in quotes, so if anything shows up online with my name on it, I'll know instantly because I will get an email. You can also have it programmed to get a text message instead, but I'll show you that when we go out live. The next slide will actually show you what it looks like. Again, hard to read, but this shows up in my email, and all of the blue, of course, are links, so I can scan, look at the headlines, read the first sentence or two, and decide if I want to follow up on that. And if I do, I click on the link, it takes me right to that page, so I don't have to wade through lots of stuff. So this is a really great way to stay current in topics of interest to you, and it's a great way just to know what's out there. Gmail, a lot of you use Gmail from the survey. If you don't have an email account that's not associated with school, you really should get one, just for personal stuff. If you want to sign up for things, it's good to have an email account to use. Gmail's fast. It has less spam. It has a lot of storage space. There's a lot of features you can do with it. You can customize it. You can have your school address forwarded to your Gmail or vice versa. There's a lot of cool things you can do with Gmail. But if you don't have another mail account, I would definitely recommend Gmail. Google Voice is another product that's kind of hidden. Not too many people know about it. And what's great about Google Voice is you can program all your phones, office, home, cell, to go to one phone number. And you get to choose this number from the list that's available for your area code. And then what you can do if you have students and you want to give them a phone number to reach you, but you're not real crazy about them having your cell number, you can give them your Google Voice number. They call that number, it rings your cell, or it rings your home phone, whatever you have programmed. And they never see your actual phone number. You can set it so that it doesn't disturb you at certain hours of the day. You can set it so that when you get an incoming call, it transcribes it as a text message. It can also transcribe it as an email. And I have both of those set up, so I have never actually retrieved a voice message on my phone. I just, as soon as I get a message, when I'm in class, I look down, I see who it's from, I wait a couple minutes for the message to be recorded, and then I look down again and it's transcribed. It's not perfect transcription, but I get the gist of the message, and I can either return their phone call from my computer, from my phone, and I have everything documented. So I'll show you a little bit of that when I go out live. But I really like Google Voice. Again, you can put all of your numbers and program them to one. Google Talk, I really haven't used much. And if you're a Skype user, that probably is enough. But Google Talk, the call is still saved as a voice message, Steve. I see a question. You can save it as a voice message on your phone and also in your Google Voice. So that's a good question. With Google Talk, as I mentioned, it's just like Skype. Some schools have it so that all the students are going through that and not another device or not another application. But you can IM and call friends as you would with Skype. Google Docs, I think a lot of you have used this in your schools if you're a Google school. And it has, you can have documents, you can have PowerPoints, you can have spreadsheets, you can save PDFs, photographs. You can share folders. I'll show you that when we go live. You can create forms like the survey that I sent to you. It's really a nice tool. And what's great is if you're like me, you have a flash drive that you take home to do work, you bring it back to the office to do work, you might take it to the library. And if you lose that flash drive or if something happens to it, you're lost. So Google Docs allows you to store everything online in the clouds. So if you forget that flash drive or you don't want to run the risk of losing it, you can put everything in your Google Docs, which is now actually Google Drive. And there's a lot of cool things you can do with that. and I'll show you that when we go out live. Google Docs, similar to Dropbox. Well, it kind of is. Dropbox is where you would take it to store it. So I guess it is similar in that way. You can actually go to the websites and save things into your Google document folder. So it is similar that way. It is cloud storage. But in Dropbox you have to open it and edit it, and in Google Docs you can just do it right there. So hope that answers your question. Google Forms is it's not an application on its own, but it's part of Google Docs, so I threw it in here. And the survey that you received is a Google form that takes minutes to create. This is just a survey I created for spring break to see if I could generate some interest in traveling abroad with my students. And I just picked a funky background, and they could just click off the answers. And the neat thing is it puts it all into a spreadsheet. And from there you can assess the data, and you can have those pie charts that I had on some earlier slides. So Google Forms is great. I'll show you some things you can do with that when we go out. This is the spreadsheet that it goes into. So I asked the students, out of the 8 choices, where would you perhaps want to travel? How interested are you in traveling, etc. And this gave me some information to pursue a destination for spring break. By the way, the winner was Ireland, and that's where we'll be going. Google Calendar is great. You can have a calendar online that will sync with your Outlook calendar or your iCalc if you're a Mac user. And you can have it sync one way if you only want to ever update from home to your Google Calendar or from work to your calendar. Or you could have a two-way sync. So if you want to add something to your Google Calendar, it ends up in your other calendar. Again, if you're an Android user, you probably have this on your phone. You can share your calendar. I have a colleague who's chair of a department here on campus, and her secretary has access to her calendar, but she doesn't see the specific events. She just has them blocked out as busy. So her secretary doesn't know if she's at the doctor's office or in a meeting or having lunch with her husband, the provost. So it just blocks it out as being busy, but you can share your calendar so your secretary or somebody else can schedule meetings. It's also great for a household. If you have multiple people in your house who have crazy schedules, you can share them and you can see each other's events. You can color code them so one person's in blue, one person's in green. For this, my classes are in blue, my office hours are in light blue, you can kind of see the other stuff. I'll show it to you live. But Google Calendar is a nice tool to have. Chrome is my browser of choice. The ironic thing is Chrome doesn't work with this webinar until the upgrade, which happens to be tomorrow. So I won't show you Chrome, but I'll talk about it. What's great is you can have all those tabs open, if you can see. You have extensions that you can add for all sorts of things. Those are kind of across the top on the right-hand side. And when you when you click for a new tab, you already have these other applications that you can add. So I've got my TweetDeck for Twitter, because I have 3 different Twitter accounts. I've got my Wunderlist, which helps me organize my life. I have Weebly, which is my website. I have my Gmail, YouTube. So you can add things to that, and then it takes you right to it. I just read an article last night that you can actually add Google Docs, Google Spreadsheet, and Google Power or Google Presentation to this page as well. So when you add a new tab, it's right there. So Internet Explorer is great, Mozilla is great, but I just really like Google Chrome, whether I'm on a Mac or a PC. Google Toolbars, for those of you that use Internet Explorer. In Chrome, the URL bar is your search bar. So you can just type in anything and it'll act as your search bar. In Internet Explorer, you do need to add a Google Toolbar for your searches, and you can add it, as you can see at the top there. And that's just for IE. Mozilla actually did away with the toolbar. Google Bookmarks is nice because you can bookmark things and have them no matter what computer you're on. And if you see that star, that yellow star, it starts out white, and when you click on it, it turns into yellow or gold, and that means you bookmarked it. And as you can see what I have circled, those are some bookmarks. So no matter what computer you're on, as long as you're logged into your Google account, you do have access to all of your bookmarks. And here is the screenshot of your bookmarks from a browser. If you want to go right to your bookmarks page, you can put them in folders, you can share them, You can have pages and pages of bookmarks. Google Translate. I just had a colleague ask me last week, is there a way to translate lesson plans from one language to another? This is one way to translate text from English to Spanish or for anything. On the left-hand side, you type in or you copy and paste your text, and then you click whatever language you want. There's up to 64 different languages, and it'll translate it for you. And if you notice, there's a little speaker on the right-hand side. It will actually play it as well. In Spanish, it doesn't play every language, but so you have the auditory feedback. You have the text that you can now copy and paste into a document, or if you have it on your mobile device, like your iPad, you can communicate with your student that way. If perhaps English is not their first language, so Google Translate is kind of neat to have. Google Books, I don't know how many people use this. Not a lot according to the survey, and in all honesty, I don't use it a whole lot. But you can search for full text of books. If they are public domain books, you can get them for free. If not, they might just be a section or a few paragraphs or a few pages to check it out. But you can get books of all different topics, and whether it's the classics, whether it's magazines, there's a lot of different books that you can search for. Or you can just type in a phrase. It'll find a book of interest with that phrase. Google News. If you are somebody who wants to know cutting edge news, you can go there. You can personalize your news. So if you're more into business or sports or entertainment, I'll show you how you can adjust it. It has top stories, it has world news, local news. It has news from different countries. If you want to see what's happening in another country, you can do that. It tells you what the top stories are. This was from, I think, Monday. So Lance Armstrong was a top story, as was the Game 7 of the NCLS. I'll show you that when we go live. Google Sites. For those of you who don't know, I teach a technology for P class, and one of the assignments is to create a website. And way back when we started, we were using Front Page, which went away. They stopped making that in 2003, but we continued to use it for a few years. And then we used Word pages saved as HTMLs and linked together. And then in the last couple of semesters, we've changed to Google Sites because all of my students have to have a Google account. So Google Sites is a great way, an easy way to create a website. You don't have to know code or HTML. It's really quite easy. If you notice, this is just a web page that one of my students created. Above the green bar, you see a pencil, which means you can edit it if you click on that. And then you have like a page with a plus, and that's how you add pages. You can share it with others. You can make it private, so the world doesn't have to see what's up there. But if you want to make a web page for your classes or your organization, Google Sites is a pretty simple way. I actually have step-by-step instructions that I have from my students, so shoot me an email if you'd like those. But you can also find all this stuff, well, by Googling it. Google Reader. Big fan of this. This is a tool to get all of your information in one place. It's like your own personal newspaper. And I follow a ton of websites and blogs, but I don't have time to go out to each one individually to see if there's new content. But I go to my Google Reader, and anything on the left-hand side that's in bold means that content has been added since I last read that particular document. And as I scroll through, this was my headline a couple days ago, obviously a lot of sports stuff. But if I wanted to follow up on that first story, I just click on that, and you notice there's 29 new items since I last read it. I click on it, it takes me right to that page. So I'll show you that live, and it's a really, really great tool. Blogger. Blogger is now owned by Google. It's really a quick and easy way to create a blog. Some people use a blog for their web page. People can comment. It makes it more interactive. My students have to blog each semester. The first time I gave the assignment, they had to blog for like 6 weeks, which is total overkill. Now they just blog. Over 2 weeks, they have to blog 4 different days. If I say 4 times, they're blogged 4 times in an hour and be done. So every semester I create a blog. The kids have to comment on my blog, and then they have to create their own and comment back and forth. So I'll show you that live as well. Picasa. This is an online photo storage site and a place where you can share your photos as well. I had the opportunity to take student teachers to Ireland in 2008 and 2009, and I wanted a way to share my photos without emailing them, because that ends up being huge documents. So a friend suggested Picasa, and it's great because I can make all these folders private, and I can send the link to my friends or family, and they can have access to my photographs without them being live for the world to see. You can make them live for anyone to see, but you can also make them private. So it's a really great tool for sharing photographs without, like I said, without having to send them as an email attachment. And finally, we've got YouTube. You probably know more about YouTube than I do. I don't use it a whole lot, but I have my own channel. I've uploaded a few movies. My students have to create a video, a 5-minute video on some type of physical education or health topic, and I have some of those saved on my channel that I can show you. But of course, YouTube is a great tool. There's so many videos out there that we can create or that we can use for our classes. And now with the iPad, you can show them in class with a Pico projector, show them on a wall, or show them on your device, and YouTube is great. So those are the applications. A real quick overview of what they are. And Todd's going to share my screen now so that I'm going to take you out to the web and navigate through each one of these individually. So if you have questions, keep them going, and I'll see what I can do as far as answering them.
Hey Joanne, if you can hear me, you want to share your screen on your end of things, because I'm ending up trying to share my desktop. Looks great. We got a live view, Joanne.
Okay. Okay, now can you hear me? All right. Yes. Okay. Let me back up because I was talking to nobody. All right. Backing up. Here's the Google page that you're all familiar with. If I type in something like PSA HPERD, you're familiar with this page. I think everybody has obviously been to Google before. You can go to images, and you see all of these images for PS AFERD, and you can click on videos. If you want to do a more advanced search, you can do this, and you can type in a phrase. You can narrow your search. There's a lot of things you can do in the advanced tab. So I think you all know how to do that. That's the simple Google search. If you're in Google, which you're all familiar with, across the top here you have some of these Google apps. Some I talked about, some I won't be covering. But if you go to the More tab, you'll see a couple I mentioned. And then you go down to Even More. And this is where you have that great resource of Google products. This is where you can find them all. I discovered this by accident. I had an assignment in my class a number of semesters ago where they had to search the library database for articles of reference for their webpage. And one of my students said, can we just use Google Scholar? And I had no idea what he was talking about. And he showed me this tab and he showed me these tools. And from then on, I was pretty much hooked when I realized all that was available. And that was, Dave just graduated, so that was probably about 3 years ago that he showed me how to do this. So, big fan. This is a great page to go to. Again, from here, you go to More, you go to Even More, and there you go. So I'll close that out. This is my iGoogle page. This is where I live. This is where I like to vacation. My calendar's here. What's great is I can move things around. So if I want to move this widget, I can slide it down, move it here. I can add my to-do list over here. You can just slide things around. Some things are default. I can get rid of them if I don't want this date in history. Here are my Google Docs, and here's my iGoogle. Here's my search bar, so I can type in a query of whatever I want. If I'm tired of my iGoogle, I can go back to the classic home page. And there you go. With this iGoogle, you can change the theme. Just on a whim, I typed in Phillies, and there were about 15 different themes I could have chosen for my header here. So lots to choose from. On all these Google apps, you'll see a gear, a wheel, and from here are the settings. You can do an advanced search like I showed you before, but this is uniform throughout most of your Google products. So this is where you can go for some help if you need it. So that's iGoogle. Google Alerts is what I just love. This is where you create a Google Alert. So say that I want something for PSA HPRD. I want everything. I want it once a day. I pretty much only want the best results. And I want it sent to, I'll have it sent to Gmail. That's fine because it gets forwarded to my school address anyway. And I'm going to create my alert. This is my Google Alerts. I have one for iPad apps, and I have it in quotes so that anything iPad apps together will show up, not just iPad, not just app. I have one for my name, as I mentioned, for physical education for Slippery Rock. My hometown, which comes in handy when I can scoop my mother on the local news. Phillies, of course. And then here's my new one, PS Aford. And then here's one, technology and physical education, and the physical education is in quotes. So anything that has those in the article, it will show up. I can switch it so it comes in text emails. I can export it, but I highly recommend that you create a Google Alert and see what happens. In fact, I think, yeah, I opened up my email, and it's not showing up. I wanted to show you what it looked like in the email box, but you can take my word for it and you can play with it yourself. So that's Google Alerts. This is Gmail. Most of you are familiar with it. This is a little spam that I got today that I'll delete. And I do have this forwarded to my school account, so a lot of this stuff has already been read. Twitter is an assignment in my class, so my students have been tweeting me. But over here, you have all sorts of stuff. It's your typical email account. Here's your gear, so you can change your settings. There's a lot you can do with it. And here's kind of how you change your account. You can import your other email. You can forward your email. You can add gadgets. You can change your theme. You can really personalize and specialize your Gmail account. Highly recommend you have a backup email account if you don't already. Google Voice. This is what I was talking about. You can see some of my recent calls. If I hit play, you'll be able to hear this message from my brother. It transcribes it, and it did pretty well on this message. Some messages are harder to transcribe, but now I have a record of everybody who's called me. I can delete it if I want. but I have all of these saved. You can star them if you want to save it for later. I have a few starred. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear this, but this is my niece, and see if you can hear what she has to say. Okay, you're saying that you can't hear it, and my apologies, but it was a message from my niece saying that she got her first soccer goal, and it did not transcribe it at all because she was 6 in this message. But if you go into your settings over here, you can see how you can personalize it. You can forward all of your phone numbers. Here's your voice message. You can record a new greeting. You can add a pin. Your calls, you can screen your calls. You can have a do not disturb. So if you don't want your students, if you give them this voice number, not to call at certain hours or when you're in class or in meetings, you can have it shut off at 8 o'clock at night. A lot of things you can do, groups and circles, widgets, billing. It says billing, it's free, but you can also use it to call out if you'd like, and it is cheaper, I believe, internationally. They give you 10 cents credit, but you can kind of check out all this stuff. So Google Voice, again, really, really cool tool, and just for the simple reason that all of your voice messages come in text and email in a transcription. I just really like it. Okay, moving on to Google Docs. Google Drive was created not too long ago. You can download this to your desktop so that you actually can be offline to edit some of your documents. And sorry for the distraction, I'm reading the chat. But in your Drive, you have folders. You can share folders. Here's one. I'm on I was on the Teacher of the Year committee. I'm not going to click on these because then you'll see who the applicants were. But Jess Piccone was our chairperson of this committee, and she set up a Google account or a Docs account, and all of their applications are in here, including the rubric of which we use to score them. So we didn't have to exchange emails. She didn't have to send big files. When I first was on this committee years ago, we had to send hard copies everywhere. So we can share this folder. We can go on whenever. We can download it if we want. We can print it, but we have access to all this information because it is shared. You can put pictures up and share those. Again, if you don't want to send big files. So those are some of the shared documents. But this is the survey that I sent out to you folks, I think Monday and maybe even Tuesday. And what's going to show up, hopefully, is the actual spreadsheet. So there are the results of those of you who responded. And I know that's kind of hard to read. So what you can do is go up to Form, and you can go live to the survey, or you can show a summary of the responses. And from here, if I make this bigger, you'll see 5 students. Should be more than 5 because this was required for class. Do you have a Google account? Yes, 26 of you. Google Apps for Education. And here's that bar graph that tells you how many of you. I think there were 33 responses when this came out. So really great to be able to see that. You can go back and you can edit the form. Let me show you from scratch how to create a form. If you go into Create, this is where you create a document, a presentation, a spreadsheet. But if you go to Form, it's really simple. If you want to know whose paper it is, or whose form it is, you have to put name first as the first question. Make it required. You're done. And then add an item. It can be checkboxes like I did. You can type in the question. You can have multiple answers. Done. That's question 2. And you can change your theme. So it has all sorts of different backgrounds. Whatever you want, apply it. You can save it. You can email the form to others. You can share it. And right down here at the bottom is a link where you can actually view it. So that's kind of what it looks like. So we'll go back to editing. We'll actually go back here. And there's that untitled form. I didn't title it, but there it is. So you can see I have, here's a document. I'm the advisor to our Majors Club. So our P Club president posted this online, and if students wanted to sign up for the state convention, they just went online and entered their own information. So we were able to share this document to anyone who had the link. And it was an easy way to have signups. And then anybody had access to it, so I could keep a running tab on how many kids were going to go. And as you can see, we have all sorts of surveys here. Here's one that we did with our department. We were thinking about creating a new major. We wanted some feedback. 216 kids responded, and these are the results. So when we went to the administration, we had data. We had information that we could give to them. One thing I wanted to show you before I forget, I don't know if any of you are familiar with this, but if you're familiar with Flubberoo, it is actually, one of my student teachers was at North Allegheny last semester, and he's the one that told me about it. And NA is a Google Apps for Education school, and so they use it a lot. Here's Flubberoo. You can Google Flubberoo to find out more about it, but if you go to Insert Script, and then you search for Flubberoo, you search for that, here it is, and you install it. Once it's installed, you can actually grade the assignment. So if you use this for kids to turn in their homework or perhaps a online quiz, Flubberoo will actually grade it for you. So if this was a quiz, all of these responses could be graded for you. And of course my student teachers thought that was just wonderful, and I think it would be a great tool to have. So you just have to install it once, and then it's in your document. So Flubberoo is kind of cool. I don't know if anybody has used that, but I found that really interesting. So that's Google Docs. So let's move on before we run out of time here. I'll just close some of these windows. All right, next let's talk about Google Calendar. Again, this is my live calendar. Anything that I do on my Outlook calendar shows up here. This is my week. Over here you can add my sports teams, and the yellow is actually from Google. The green is actually on my Outlook calendar. But you could show for the month, you can show for the week, you can show my day, you can do 7 days. Over here is your gear, so you can change your settings. This is where you can change your time zone, you can share it, you can make more than one calendar. So here's where you can subscribe to different sports teams, and it's automatically added, their games, their schedules. You can share a calendar. You can import a calendar from Outlook, which is what I did with my school calendar. You can set it up for mobile. There's a lot of things you can do with your Google Calendar, but it's nice to have a backup just in case something would happen. So that would be Google Calendar. Google Bookmarks I talked about. You can have pages and pages of bookmarks. You can put them in folders. You can share them with others. This way, as long as you're signed into Google, you have access to all of your bookmarks wherever you are. Here's Google Translate. Today we will be doing fitness testing, and this will show up in whatever language you want it to. It will play it, which I don't know if you were able to hear that, but you could change it. Our student teachers who are going to Ireland in a couple weeks might want to put it in Irish if they want to try to assimilate into the school culture, because Irish kids do have a class a day in the old Irish language. But if you have a student who happens to speak a language that you're not familiar with, this is a good way to translate. It'll go from English to whatever, 64 options, and back. So that's Google Translate. Google Books, not too difficult. You can browse the books and magazines. You can put in a search query, and there's a ton of things here. So I'll go through this pretty quick now. Google News, this is the latest news. This is the US edition. You can change it to other countries if you're interested in what's happening around the world. You can make it change your look. You can personalize it if you're more into sports and less into business. You can do that. If you want to know what's happening with the elections, but not so much with entertainment, there you go. If you scroll down, these are the top stories, but then you have the world stories, your U.S. Is anybody else whose screen is stuck on calendar? Somebody just popped up. Okay, good, thanks. So over here, you can see the top stories, Tim Tebow, Mitt Romney, whoever, and so this is a nice way to find local news, breaking news, and it gives you news from all sorts of different newspapers. You can personalize it so that you only get it if you don't like Fox and you like ESPN or you like CNN but not the New York Times, and it will know your preferences and start to feed you your news stories that way. Okay, Google Scholar. Say that I want technology and physical education. This is a great tool if you are in graduate school or you just want to do some research or stay current. This is a search engine that searches for academic related things. So here's an article, here's Dr. Maasen's book, Bonnie's book. If I want to see just since 2012, I can click that for the most recent things. If I want to go back 2008, if I click on any of these, if I click on Derek and Lisa's article on strategies, it'll take me there. And for this particular item, I would have to purchase it, but it tells me, I can read the abstract and find out about it. Some of these are full text. Anytime. Say that I click on Bonnie's book, and whoops, don't know what happened there. But what's great with this is, again, you can do an advanced search. So if I want to specialize, if I only want articles written by Bonnie, I can do that. I can search for it. And now, only things that she's written will show up. So I can specialize my search that way. I can create an alert. Remember I showed you Google Alerts earlier? I can create an alert. So anything that Bonnie writes and puts out there will now come to my Gmail. Up to 10 results, up to 20 results. And now I can create an alert, and now that will show up in my inbox whenever she puts anything new out there. So Google Scholar, great tool to stay current in your information. Google Sites is the website developer or creator. These are some websites that my students have created. So if I click on this one, it'll show you a website. They had to have a certain number of pictures. They had to have a certain number of tables. They had to reference everything at the bottom. They had to have a page about themselves. So Google Sites, it's really easy to create a website in Google Sites. Here we go. You can easily just click on the gear and it'll walk you through. Basically, you just hit create, pick a template, name it. It has to have a unique URL, so you can put it in there, type this in so that it knows you're a human and not a robot, and then you get started and you just start creating. So Google Sites is a really easy way to create a web page. Google Reader is that news feed that I told you about. Over here are my folders. I have a folder on PE. Here's my sports folder. I emptied this out last night. I read everything. But if I would go back and I see real quickly, okay, the Pirates have one new thing. If I really want to read about it, I click on it. It takes me right to that page. I can close that folder. I have a whole folder on technology. Lots of stuff. Some of these things I wait till I have lots of time to read. Others I read on a daily basis. I have a folder for every one of my classes because I do have to blog, and these are the 60 students I had this past spring. And if they post something new, it shows up bold. This is a student that's studying at the University of Limerick right now in Ireland, so I'm following her blog. So if I click on this, I know that Miranda posted one time since I last read it. I click on it, and I will see what she posted. And I can click on this and it'll take me right out to her blog. So I don't have to go to all 60 students' blog to know whether or not they updated it. This is how I can follow it. If I go in my PE folder and I go to, say, Peaceful Playground. Now I have read some of these, but I left them unread so I can find them easily. I can scroll down real fast. And that number, that 18, will slowly go down as I scroll because it means that I've read it. And if I want to save this, I can either star it so it goes into my starred folder. I can email it to myself. I can keep it on red so it's bold. I can send it. I can tag it. Or I can just click on the link and go read it. So this is a really simple way to follow all sorts of things that are of interest to you. And again, you can put them in folders. All you would do was hit the subscribe button and type in or paste the URL of the blog or the website, as long as it has the little symbol for a blog or this little symbol. If it has that on one of your pages, you should be able to follow it. So I follow everything from web pages to blogs to all sorts of things. Blogger, as I mentioned, my class has to blog every semester. Here's one from last semester. View the blog, and they have to post their URL here. So if you click on Hillary's blog, it'll take you here, and then they had to blog on something PE related. She blogged about when they went to Titusville. You can read the comments, and it's a great tool to get them kind of collaborating online, or at least some writing skills, reading skills. And I started to blog when I went to Ireland. I decided I better practice what I preached, and it actually was really nice because I didn't have to send a bunch of emails to everyone I knew. I could just blog, and my family and friends could just follow my blog. So if I wanted to see what I was doing that day, this is one of the schools we went to, St. Comskills, and this is one of our PE student teachers doing a parachute activity. So blogging is a great tool to reach a lot of people. Picasa, as I mentioned, is an online web storage site or a picture photo sharing site, and these are just some folders that you can share the entire folder if you'd like. I'm going fast because we're kind of running out of time. Here's YouTube. I think you all know how to use YouTube. You can have your own station. This is a video I uploaded a little bit ago, a couple days ago, last week. Jared Robinson, if you don't know who he is, Google him. He's the PE geek. He does a ton of PE apps. He also has videos like this one. He has a blog. I follow his blog. He has a web page. He's written some books. He's really great. Here are the people I follow. And here's Jess Baconi's video that we showed at the convention last year. Down at the bottom are some of the videos that my students have created. Track handoffs or slap shot or how to curve a soccer ball. And what I discovered is that our course management system couldn't handle even a 5-minute upload, a 5-minute video. So they had to post their video on YouTube, and they could make it private if they wanted to, but they needed to share the link for me. I could create a playlist of their videos, and we don't have to play this, but I have all their videos here, so I could go back and look at them. So that's YouTube, which you know how to use. Okay, this is the Google alert of what shows up in my inbox. I knew I had that open someplace. Okay, that was a whirlwind tour of Google Apps. Let me see if I can get you all back on my screen. And let's hope this worked. Okay, this is where I left off. On this PowerPoint that you will have an opportunity to have. We're going to blackmail you a little bit and have you do the survey, and then we'll send you this PowerPoint. But here are some great resources. If you're not familiar with this guy, Free Tech for Teachers, Richard Burns, he's a social studies teacher in the state of Maine. He has some free resources on Google. Google his website, Free Tech for Teachers. It's one of the blogs I follow. He's awesome, so I get a lot of my stuff from him. So he has some resources on Google there. So that was a whirlwind tour of Google, 20 apps in less than an hour. So what questions do you have? Let's see. Is the call still saved as a voicemail? Yes. Google Docs. So the Google alerts go directly to email? Yes. You could also have it set to go directly to text messages if you so desire. Any other questions? You're welcome. Will I be having another session on this? Actually, if you're going to the state convention, I am doing this exact presentation. It's called Going Gaga for Google, but I will definitely recycle this presentation. So if you miss something or you just want refresher, or if you want to recommend it to your friends, I am presenting this, I think on Friday afternoon probably, at the convention. So feel free to stop by or invite your friends.
Folks, I also just want to let you know quick too before we let Joanne go. We will be sending an email out with a survey. The survey is 4 questions long, so it's not meant to take up a lot of your time. And if you do fill that out, every response that we get back on those surveys, we will send a copy of this PowerPoint too. In addition, you'll be able to log back in and review this webinar. I did record the whole thing, and I will send you the link to the recording as well. So thanks a lot for joining us. Joanne will stay on with us a little bit longer. If you do have some more questions, we'll make sure everybody gets their questions answered before we wrap up for the night.
Yes, thanks so much. I know everybody's busy, and I really appreciate you logging on and taking the time. And please email me if you have questions. At the state convention, I hope I have the internet for myself, and I'm not sure if the whole room will be able to be live to follow as one of the questions asked. But I certainly will be around to answer questions at the convention. Thanks, Jim. Yeah, Tommy, I think it will be archived to watch later.
Yes, it will. Definitely will.
So, Tommy, you can tell all your classmates who skipped out this evening that they can watch it later. Todd, do you know the answer to that? How they can watch the archive presentation?
I don't know yet, but I will send them all a link. I will send a link to everybody that signed up for this. So you will have it through a link. I'm not sure login wise where we're at with that yet because I'm still working on that part of the platform, but I will definitely send everybody a link so they will be able to play it out of their email and they can archive it and save it on their own machine.
Okay, great. The PowerPoint is a very large file because of all the screenshots. It's like 12 megabytes. So if you want that, I can post it online, or if Todd can send it, we can do that as well.
What I'll be doing is when I send everybody when they respond to the survey, then I will send them a link. I'll upload it to our Pennsylvania AFERD website server, and then they'll be able to download it from that server with a private link.
That sounds great. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Ron. Thank you, Carrie. Todd, any idea on Act 48 credits?
Not for this one. We
Okay.
didn't do anything for this one, and I have to check and see whether we were an approved provider for the 12-13 school year. If we are, we'll be able to do that for future ones. But this was kind of a test one that we weren't sure about yet.
Okay. Ryan, did you get that? Thanks, Carol. Okay, good. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Tom. Good night, Carol. Frankie, you should get an email, and that email will include a link on where you can go to watch this at a later time.
I'll be sending that email out probably within minutes of wrapping up this thing tonight. It'll be
Okay.
5 minutes after we do it. I'll send the link. And if you fill out the
Okay.
survey, which I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to cut the recording now. We can still answer questions, but I'm going to cut the recording now.
Okay. Sounds good.